Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our daily MLB pitching preview show that we do with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Right now, we're going to take a look at the card from Thursday, June 4th. Joe Duffy, how's everything going at baseball now that we're into the month of June?
Going fantastic. As we follow this report, we're back on another spectacular run, and the summers have been owned by Joe Duffy's Picks since I went public almost exactly 27 years ago, just past that anniversary, and the underdogs and small favorites continue to come in. The metrics have changed a little bit over the years, but still the same basic formula.
All right, sounds great, Joe. Well, first thing I want to ask you about Anthony DeSclafani on the mound for Cincinnati again, and he had a bunch of starts where he got hit. Now he's had two straight better starts, and the Philly offense, we know, can be held down. So even if DeSclafani is due to get hit again at some point in the near future, maybe it's not this game on the road at Philadelphia. What do you think?
Well, pitching in front of maybe his family, as you've told me, he is from Freehold, New Jersey, which is kind of midway between Philadelphia and New York. But
do they have Guidos in Freehold, New Jersey?
I would say they definitely do. Maybe not quite as many as in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, but they do have their share for sure. And he probably has some relatives in Cherry Hill. Who knows? But in two appearances against the Phillies, one as a starter, one as a reliever, he hasn't pitched all that well, 7.94 ERA. And look, Aaron Harang, again, he's just been tremendous. You can't. He's another cagey veteran who's really pitched very well. Philadelphia with a heck of a 1-2 punch in their starting staff with him and Hamels, of course. As I tell you, these teams that have great pitching and not so great offenses are usually go against. But I really think that, if anything, the Phillies do have the pitching advantage here. I know DeSclafani's pitching a little bit better, and he does have that quote-unquote great stuff, but I still think the Phillies probably have the pitching advantage here.
And then we have the rematch between Michael Wacha and Carlos Frias. In the first one, Frias actually won that battle, although Wacha did pitch very well, and he just kind of came apart in the sixth inning. Both of these guys are going to be seeing their respective teams, their respective opponents, for the second time in a row. What do we expect here?
And it's interesting because St. Louis is 9-1 with Wacha this year, but of course the game that his only loss was when these two guys matched up. Probably a game to maybe avoid. This is two of the best teams in baseball. Could be a playoff preview. I don't know if you can see a big pitching advantage here because, as I said, L.A. is the one team that Wacha's actually lost to. If anything, I'd probably lean towards going with the home team again.
Really? Okay. And then Shane Green. This guy probably leads the league in volatility. I don't have a hard number for that, but he has been way up, way down. Last start, 5 home runs in 2 innings pitched. Unbelievable. But we have seen him have some excellent starts this year. And Jesse Hahn on the other side seems kind of the opposite, a very reliable kind of 6-inning, 3-run, 4-run type of guy. The big question is, what do we expect from Green if he gets crushed? Oakland -1.5 if he's going to pitch an 8-inning shutout game. Detroit -1.5. What do you think, Joe?
Well, it's interesting that Green became the first guy in Major League history to give up 5 or more home runs and retiring 5 outs or fewer. So he's coming off of a rough outing. But look, he's capable of bouncing back. Hahn, you're right, has pitched well, but you kind of wonder as we're starting to, enter the dog days. Maybe look at the weather report. Of course, in Detroit, it's not exactly a warm weather city, but Jesse Hahn has actually pitched 100 or more pitches in 6 straight starts. And maybe, we become a little bit too obsessed with those pitch counts, but you kind of wonder how long either pitcher can last because Green struggled his last outing, and Hahn has thrown so many pitches as of late. Maybe, put a little bit of a check mark next to the over, especially take a look at what the game time temperature is expected to be. If it's going to be pretty warm, maybe lean towards the over.
And then Dallas Keuchel starts again, right? This time at home against Baltimore. We know that in general he's excellent. The question is, in any given start, do we expect him to be lights out or to give up a few runs? He's coming off another awesome, dominant start, but recently he has had a bunch of 7-inning, 4-run starts. Question is, what do we expect from Keuchel here? 7 innings and 4 runs or 8 innings and 1 run?
Well, he has shown, I guess, a little bit of a chink in the armor, so you might think that it's a possibility he could be slightly overvalued, but the bottom line is really going back to the middle of last season, he's been one of the most consistent pitchers in baseball. So I think it be a little bit of a stretch to find any reason to fade him in this at this point. And I don't know if Chen seems to give any compelling reason why you want to ride him. So I think either want to go with Houston or pass.
Okay, Trevor Bauer starting at KC against Chris Young. Chris Young, you know, a veteran who is very capable of giving 5 or 6 shutout innings, but regressed in his last start, gave up 2 home runs. Bauer's had 4 straight excellent starts, but again, KC has a lineup that can be, if not explosive, dangerous and effective. What do we expect from Bauer here versus Young?
Well, I certainly found that in baseball, when it comes to pitching, more so than any other sport, where you really want to look at someone who is hot short term. You know, in a lot of the other sports, I'll kind of look at long term form over short term. But Bauer is in quite the groove right now. 1.53 ERA, 31 strikeouts in his last 4 starts, and I do say that strikeouts are overrated, but when strikeouts are corroborating a pitcher pitching well, as opposed to, you know, when you sometimes see a guy who maybe he's got an ERA of 4 over his last 5 starts and a high strikeout to walk count, to me that can be a little bit overrated. But Bauer is pitching very well, and it seems to be corroborated that he's overpowering pitchers. So in that case, when the strikeouts are more corroborating stuff, that tells me Bauer, again, you either want to ride him or you definitely want to pass on him. Now, of course, Young, he's pitched very well, but he is coming off of his first loss of the season, so that might be a little bit of a bubble burst situation. So I think, if anything, the metrics would point towards Cleveland here.
Okay, well, there's only 10 games on the Thursday cards. Is there anything else you want to touch on before you move on?
No, in fact, all the big check marks that I had, we actually discussed. So no, sir, that would be about it.